We bring Sutek's gift of interviews to all human life.
I did think the opening of the episode was really cool. Like, you see the TARDIS materialise in the skyline, and then Unit opens the launch bay doors, and everyone's like, "Doctor on the bridge!" And then the TARDIS just slides into Unit headquarters, and when it stops, the Doctor walks out the TARDIS going, "Give me the lovin'!" And then he greets Rose. That was all really cool.
It's exciting to see Kate and the Vlinks and all these things that are blatantly being set up for a spin-off.
Great performances all around.
It just felt like all the moving parts were intended. It's just like each character had a meaningful scene with another character.
Kate Lethbridge Stewart was so amazing in this episode. I loved her. Like, the way she was just like ready to like rock and roll was amazing.
I really agree with what some people have been saying online, that Kate is kind of maturing into a true sort of extra Doctor companion, like the Brigadier, her dad, and like Jack and other companions that have recurred.
Kate grew up with her father, obviously, and he was telling her the stories of, you know, Pertwee and Tom. It's really lovely and sweet.
I like the little references to, like, you told us in the 1970s that we couldn't. Well, I enjoyed that.
The bit when Nashooty and Kate were talking was really lovely, because obviously of her saying, "Oh, you have great enigma," and he says, "Oh, I'm still trying to shake that off." I really like that.
Not only is she a great actor, I really think I'm really liking the character. Like, I'm really glad to see her seeing the Doctor. And also because there's been so many Doctors with her now, and because there's that real feeling of a real relationship with the Doctor, there's a weight to it now, which is incredibly satisfying. Like, those few scenes that they had together, it felt authentic. It felt very like Brigadier and Doctor. They know each other.
I love Bonnie Langford.
Mel's always good to see back again.
She's always lovely to see back, especially considering how she's portrayed originally in the classic era, where she's a computer program from Peace Pottage and does phone call. So it's really nice to actually see her use those skills.
Mel sometimes gets like a put down the lower end of the list when someone lists their favourite companions, but she's been a focal point of recent episodes, and I'm glad.
I'm glad she's gotten this second chance to prove how good she is as a companion.
She is brilliant in Big Finish, like amazing, like properly badass in Big Finish, and I'm glad she's finally getting that experience on the big screen.
Obviously, Yasmin Finney's back, which is really nice to see as well.
Rose Noble still being underused, still being brought into a story for no reason, and not actually given anything to do.
Why was Rose there? Rose has no need to be there. They did not need to have Rose in this story at all.
And I get that, like, Unit wouldn't give her something major to do because she's a teenager, she's a minor. I think she's like 15, maybe 16, so yeah, of course they've got her doing shoplifting. The question is then, why is she in this story? Why not give her her own story?
When Starby stared, she was one of my absolute favourite things about it, because I bloody loved her.
And I kind of liked how when they sort of met again, he asked how 14 was.
Yeah.
That was great.
I thought the first half of the episode was a bit literal in the way that it just sort of laid out what the plot threads had been in the series up to this point, and just sort of laid them out before the viewer, explaining what the unsolved mysteries were. I thought that was a bit unsubtle.
There is 3 storylines that this season is focusing on. Who's Ruby Sunday, who's Susan Twist, and who's the one who waits. 3 who's.
The first maybe 20 or so minutes is kind of build up, but then when it hits to the time window bit, it just gets more intense, and that's what I loved about it.
I enjoyed Susan Triad. I enjoyed her and her Theresa May kind of dancing, all that. But we could have had so much more time exploring what she was doing at Triad.
They referred to Susan Triad at one point as an evil genius, but they didn't explain, or I missed if they explained what it was she'd done that was evil. And I felt like her whole backstory or presence within the universe was a little underexplained.
What was she even launching? What was the technology she was doing that was going to revolutionise the planet? Like, we never got to explore that because we were busy looking at a VHS from 20 years ago.
So we never really got to know who Susan Triad is. I mean, all we really knew about her was that it's possible that she could be Susan Foreman, and she was responsible for appearing in a lot of places the Dr. Ruby visited, and we also know that she's a foil to Elon Musk, and that's it. That's literally it. I mean, it's not like, and I know I keep bringing up Series 3, but it's just begging me to compare it. It's not like in Utopia, where you got to know Professor Yana, and you actually got to know him for quite a while, but you actually saw him interact with the Doctor and Martha and Jack Harkness. You got to know who his character is. Like, he's a very kind-hearted and wonderful person who really wants to get those people away from that planet at the end of the universe itself. So when it comes time to that Fob Watch reveal, and when he opens up the Fob Watch, and then it was revealed that he was actually the Master this whole time, and you just see him go from this kind, lovely man to this sadistic and vile person with the Master, it makes that turn all the more shocking and tragic because Yana was such a nice man, you didn't want him to become the Master.
It just felt a bit too divided in terms of what it was trying to do in a story and plots that story along.
If we'd given a bit more time to that and less time to Ruby's thing, or vice versa, I would have preferred the structure of it.
When it came to exploring in the holodeck with everyone in unit, that could have been something in part 2 to have done to try and help solve this situation. We didn't need to have had it initially, so that we could focus a bit more time on the Triad technology company.
I really liked the time window stuff. That was lovely. It was tense. I love the VHS tape stuff. I love VHS tapes. I love all that stuff.
I'm just saying this right now. They spent 5 minutes in Unleashed explaining what VHSs are to us. Have people gotten that fucking young or old now or whatever that people my age don't know what a fucking VHS is? I grew up with VHS the tail end and I'm dying.
Your generation is fighting the generation after you.
During that time window segment, I literally got emotional for her because I just wanted her to find out who her mum was.
This is just my own string of consistency I formed whilst watching it, but obviously I was thinking that Ruby's mum was going to be Susan.
Nah,
I know, but just the way they were going about it and how they kept pointing at her, and I was like, well, she's crying. And again, because Susan was abandoned, did she abandon her own child? That was just the way I was knitting it up. Obviously it was not the case.
And I thought we were going to find out towards the end, have a double cliffhanger, and now we have to wait till next week, and I want Empire of Death to come so close, so much. I just want to watch it now just to find out.
The set for that was really nice. Again, they wanted also that low quality, like that low quality VHS look that it always has. And the fact that they'd done the same thing they did in Boom, where obviously they had the projected skies that the shooter was running against.
Yeah.
They'd done a projected, because I thought that was all CGI. Obviously the overlay was CGI, but the buildings and that, I thought that was all computer graphics. It was still obviously technically that projected, but the fact it was still a physical real set in a way was fucking amazing. Absolutely loved it.
That poor unit soldier, I remember his first name was Winston, but he was just trying to do his job. He didn't deserve to die.
I'm also just wondering, hey, what's Mrs. Flood up to? I mean, she just appeared briefly and then suddenly that was her gone from the episode.
It's the Rani. It's also the Rani.
It might be the Rani.
No, it's not. It's never the Rani. It's never the Rani. It's never the Rani.
You thought it would never be Sutek?
Shut up!
Sutek came back. Holy I cannot fucking believe this. It's absolutely fucking insane, and I'm bloody buzzing.
Sitting there, we're just and my friend, I've honestly not seen him that excited about a Doctor Who episode in so long. He was buzzing. It was so fun, and it was just so joyous.
You think it's going one way. You think, I don't know, at some point Caroline Ford's just going to walk out and the Doctor could be like, Susan, you've grown up, or something. But suddenly, ancient Egyptian deity with a big ribby in his head.
Everyone who came here tonight to the Glasgow Doctor Who Society was so excited. Everyone was like, wasn't that an exciting finale? And it's so nice to have that feeling back. I'm just so glad it feels like we've got finales again.
I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Literally on the edge of my seat, which isn't difficult because I'm quite short. So
the makeup of the people who got possessed were really well done. I thought it was just, you can tell where the budget has went.
The voice was something that I was genuinely frightened by. Gabriel Wolf, 91, and he's doing it again.
The way RTD built it up, that it was maybe Susan.
Right before the opening titles, the cold opening, and The doctor said Susan was my granddaughter. Look, the second he says that, you're just got in your mind, okay, she's absolutely showing up.
Oh, what's going to happen? Why would Susan be there? What's Susan doing? And then he's like, no. Remember those rumours you heard a wee while ago about Sutek?
Susan Tech, Sutek. I'm not over that. Sutek. Sutek. It's genuinely like some like wee throwaway line in some zany 8th Doctor novel or something like that. I don't know, it just feels very like I dismissed this when I heard it initially because I thought it was that daft of a reveal.
The way that it all came together, the tension in both rooms, and like the way that it was offset as well with like Susan Triad doing the whole Theresa May coming on, and then it's all kind of coming up and you're like, oh, what's happening?
I also was quite annoyed with some of the very basic dialogue was just so like unneeded, like things like how, oh, it's an anagram. It's not an anagram, first of all.
Sutek is not an anagram of Susan Triad technology. It's not what an anagram is. Just saying.
When Kate Lepech Stewart is saying whatever it is coming, it's like, yeah, we can see there's a big massive cloud coming.
Shooty's reaction at the end. Wow. Brilliant.
Oh my god, that final moment was extraordinary.
The reveal was a bit lost on me, but that's only because unfortunately I hadn't seen the story that needed to be seen.
Like Pyramids of Mars?
Yeah.
Oh, have you not seen it?
No.
Oh.
I'm going to horrify a load of viewers right now by saying I've never seen a single Tom Baker episode.
Oh, it's got some of the best dialogue. I mean, the best.
Having more context to it, I do understand the double cause reference, which is the scene where they come back at the other time and Ruby talking about how, oh, but why is this like this when I was born, and this here referring to what Sarah said in Pillars of Mars.
Yes.
Don't make that nice reference.
Sutek was a villain who was literally trapped to a chair. And he could only control certain things with his mind, and how terrifying he was. Pyramids of Mars was one of the first Doctor Who stories I watched when I was a kid. It was being repeated on BBC Two when I was a kid.
Sutek to me has always been the greatest one-off villain ever in Doctor Who, period. He's not that anymore, obviously, so it's kind of strange trying to take that in.
It really stuck with me in how terrifying Sutek is, that just a person that can be so frightening just by the way that they speak.
We now have this dilemma of who is stealing, because she's more or less the servant.
Yeah.
So she will be somebody, she might not be who she says she is, so it could be a million possibilities. So it means that any one of the current theories is still open for grabs at the moment.
When did Sutek get into the TARDIS? Now, people think it was the line of salt. Susan figure, or Susan's face at least, appeared before the line of salt. She was in the scene with Isaac Newton. I hope it's not that they created a parallel universe by messing with the fixed point of Isaac Newton discovering gravity, and now we're in the Mavity universe, because that's silly.
For people who have not seen this story, the reason why it's said since the Pertwee era is because Pyramids of Mars, the house that the Doctor and Sarah are in, becomes the unit headquarters later on, or a version of unit headquarters. The sarcophagus stays inside the building when it burns down. But surely, because it's not an ordinary sarcophagus, surely it survived, or traces of it. They've obviously came to that building many years later, took that sarcophagus, and they possibly buried it. We might find that out next week, but clearly they have some connection to it. So Sutek has technically been there since the Pertwee era, just not the way you're expecting it.
Sutek is, in my opinion, the beast from the Impossible Planet, Satan Pit. 100%. Same voice, obviously. He's saying some similar things. I don't remember exactly. It's like, I am the darkness, or something like that.
I seen on Twitter somebody talking about that, and how in that story it's all about being trapped with the light, and how all that spells in with the Satan's Pit sort of stuff. How it might be the same one of the same person.
That's very exciting to me. I love the Impossible Planet Satan Pit. That's like a very underrated and excellent two-parter.
When Sutek was like speaking more, he was doing like, oh, the god of this, the god of that, and I am this, the Night in Terror, which Sutek never said in the classic series, but I completely forgot. The Beast says more or less the same stuff in Satan Pit, which I completely like.
It's not just that.
I didn't even clock onto that.
It's not just that. It's the fact that the Beast had no voice.
That as well, yeah, exactly, because he possesses.
I really enjoyed watching it, and then I rewatched it, and the hype just wasn't there for me after Sutek's reveal. I am concerned about Sutek being in this story because we had him at the very tail end as the reveal to be like, whoa, it's like a utopia moment. Sutek's in town, what's going to happen next? Having a wee bit more time of Sutek, even like if we did cut out all the Ruby Sunday tape malarkey, we could have had a bit of time to explore, you know, Sutek and the disastrous powers of whatever the hell Susan Triad was doing with technology, of what Sutek can do, because, you know, turning two people to sand, you can do a wee bit more than that.
I am hoping that we can see a glimpse of Ruby's real mother next week, because yeah, it feels like it feels like something that should be tied up, because yeah, but there's goodness knows we've dragged out things before.
I fear all that stuff that I just mentioned of there will be disastrous consequences of Sutek being unleashed will happen in the second episode. We then won't have much time to resolve that second episode. They then try to tie in all the stuff about the videotape. It then just gets a bit too busy and rushed in the end, and that's what I fear will happen in the second half, because we've kind of lollygagged around Unit HQ looking at a holodeck for 20 minutes.
I have been coming to a local Doctor Who fan meetup for 15 years, right? And throughout the Chibnall time, discussion and excitement just lowered and lowered and lowered, peaked a bit with Flux, but to be honest, the whole time it was just low. Whereas for the first time in years, everybody's coming here every single week, and even if they don't like the episode, everyone's talking about it. And do you know what's even nicer? I'm about in my life going to my job, going to other social events where people aren't necessarily Doctor Who fans. People are talking to me about Doctor Who. People are saying, did you watch that? What did you think of that episode? Not did you watch it at all. What did you think of that episode? I've had a friend's dad message me going, whoa, what do you think about that? Talking to me about it in the pub. I've had like random people coming up to me and saying, oh, did you watch Doctor Who by the way? It's really good. Or like, oh, isn't Shooty great? Isn't Shooty? Oh, I wonder how this is going to go. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I like that. And like good or bad, people are talking about it, and it's so nice, and there's an electric feeling here. So I feel very excited about the future of Doctor Who, and do you know what? I'm just enjoying it. I'm just loving it.